I know y'all are probably tired, so let this be our a benediction or compline for the evening. And I think it's not because anything that I do, just the source material, I think is a wonderful compilation of much of what Matthew shared with us and encouraged us to consider tonight. So this is a story of creation from the Judeo-Christian tradition. And I am going to invite you to help me tell the story. Maybe that'll help keep you awake. Help me keep track of what day we're on. Not as a way to enforce a 24-hour period of each day of creation, but just to allow us to enter into the pattern, the rhythm, and the order of this version of creation. So when you hear me say, there was evening and there was morning, then we fill in the blank. The first day, second day, third day, fourth day. Easy. I think if you don't get it right away, it'll be easy to catch on, all right? So hear the story from the book of Genesis. In the beginning, it was God who created the heavens and the earth. Now, at this time, the earth was just a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God, the breath of God, Ruach, blew out over the face of the waters. And God spoke and said, "Let there be light." And it was so. Yeah. And God saw that the light was good. Now God separated the light from the darkness. The light God called day, the darkness God called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And then God said, "Let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, separating the waters from the waters." And it was so. God did indeed create a dome that separated the waters above the dome from the waters beneath the dome. And God called that dome sky, the heavens, the firmament. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the second day. And then God said, okay, now, let all of the water underneath the dome be gathered together into one place and let the dry land appear. So God gathered together all that water underneath the dome, gathered it all together into one place, and the dry land appeared. Now, the dry land God called earth, the waters God called seas. And God saw that it was good. And then God said, well, now, let the earth be covered with vegetation, plants yielding seeds, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each one according to their own kind. And it was so. God covered the earth with vegetation, plants yielding seeds, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which was their seed, each one according to their own kind. And God saw that it was. And there was evening, and there was morning the third day. And then God said, let there be lights in that dome of the sky. Let them stand for days and for seasons. Let them shed their light upon the earth, ruling over the day and night, separating the light from the darkness. And it was so. God created the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which we call the, and the lesser light to rule the night, which we call the, and God also created the stars, putting each one in a very special place. And there they sat, shedding their light upon the earth, ruling over the day and night, separating the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was. There was evening and there was morning the fourth day. And then God said, let the seas bring forth living creatures, and let winged creatures, otherwise known as birds, cover the earth so they can fly over the earth across the dome of the sky. And it was so. God brought forth all of the great sea monsters and everything with which the waters swarm. And God also created all of the birds. And God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, filling the seas, and let the birds multiply, covering the earth so they can fly over the earth across the dome of the sky. And it was so. And God saw that it was. And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And then God said, let the earth be covered with beasts or wild animals, each according to their kind, and cattle or tame animals, each according to their kind, and creepy crawly things which crawl upon the face of the earth, each one according to their kind. And it was so. God brought forth all of the great wild beasts, each one according to their kind, and all of the tame cattle, each one according to their kind, and all the creepy crawly things that crawl upon the face of the earth, each one according to their kind. And God saw, even the creepy crawly things were all very, and yet, was when God said, let us create people in our image, both male and female, and let them be fruitful, multiply, filling the earth, and taking charge of everything I've created. And it was so. God did indeed create people, both male and female, both created in the image of God. And then God blessed them. And said to them, now be fruitful and multiply, filling the earth, and being responsible for everything I've created. Now look, I've given you every good green plant for food. Plants yielding seeds and fruit trees bearing fruit to which is their seed. These are for you, they're for the beasts, the cattle. In fact, everything that has that ruach, breath of life, have I created every good green plant for food. And then God took a look at everything that had been created. And by everything, I mean everything that had been created. And behold, it was all very good. And there was evening and there was morning and then, on the seventh day, God rested from all the work of the other 6 days of the week. And that's why the seventh day was a sacred day, a holy day, because God did no work on that day, but rather rested from all the work of the other 6 days of the week. And that's why to this very day, the seventh day is meant to be a sacred day, a holy day, especially for people who are burned out. A day where they don't worry about work or work itself, but just take a rest. from the worry and work of the other 6 days of the week. Now, I don't know about all of you, but for me, that makes the seventh day very, very. Amen? Amen. Amen.